So we're going to get started. Today's lesson is all about summarizing. How we do it, what it looks like, etc., etc. Now, y'all are in 8th grade, if you're watching this video, because you're my students, and I teach 8th grade ELA. So if you're in 8th grade, you have a pretty good understanding of what summaries are. You've been doing them at KIPP for at least since 3rd grade. But we're going to do a quick little review so that way you have a better understanding and kind of remember. So remember, a summary needs to include 3 things: beginning, middle, and end. So for it to be an effective summary, you need to make sure when you're writing your summaries of whatever text you're reading that it includes the beginning of the text, the middle of the text, and the end of the text. This format, BME, is what we're going to be using for the rest of the year. So anytime I ask you to summarize, you need to make sure in your brain that you include beginning, middle, and end. That's our format, BME. Remember it, please. Now, in case you have forgotten what a summary is or summary basics, here's a quick reminder. So, summary basics. We need to include these 4 things. Number 1, who are the main figures in the text? Now, this could be a nonfiction text or a fiction text. It doesn't matter if it's fiction or nonfiction, you need to include the who. Who are the main people involved? Who are the main figures involved? You also need to include the what. So what is happening in the text? Whether it's a fiction or a nonfiction text, what is happening? Last but not least, well, actually not last but not least, third, my mistake. When is this text taking place? So this could be something like as simple as what time of day, or it could be what day of the week, what season, so is it spring, summer, winter, fall, that type of thing. It could be what era is it taking place. So this could be like a historical fiction text taking place in medieval England. That could be when, right? Or it could be like the Hunger Games that takes place in the future. So when is your story taking place, and where is this text actually located? So is it taking place in England? Is it taking place in France, in America? Where in America? Is it taking place in some rando's garden or in some nondescript suburban neighborhood? It doesn't matter. You just need to make sure you include the where. Okay, and it doesn't have to be super specific, but you do need to include where the story is taking place. Okay, so we're going to do a quick review using a text that you all are very familiar with, and I'm going to read it out loud really quick, and then we're going to write a summary, and we're going to get you on your way. Okay, so we're actually going to read the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Was that an audible groan I just heard from you? Yes, I know it was. So now that you're done audibly groaning and sucking your teeth, we're going to read the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And by we, I mean I'm going to read it out loud and model for you how you should be summarizing, okay? Stick around to the end to wait for instructions. I know some of you are about to hit that pause button or that exit out button because you think you're done, but you ain't. Give me 3 more minutes. 3 minutos más. Thanks. Okay, so the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Goldilocks. She went for a walk in the forest. Pretty soon, she came upon a house. She knocked, and when no one answered, she walked right in. At the table in the kitchen, there were 3 bowls for porridge. Goldilocks was hungry. She tasted the porridge from the first bowl. "This porridge is too hot," she exclaimed. I don't know, that's her voice. Deal with it. So she tasted the porridge from the second bowl. "This porridge is too cold," she said. So she tasted the last bowl of porridge. "This porridge is just right," she said happily, and she ate it all up. After she'd eaten the Three Bears' breakfast, she decided she was feeling a little tired. So she walked into the living room where she saw the 3 chairs. Goldilocks sat in the first chair and rested her feet. "This chair is too big," she exclaimed. So she sat in the second chair. "This chair is too big too," she whined. So she tried the last and the smallest chair. "This chair is just right," she sighed. But just as she settled down into the chair to rest, it broke into pieces. Goldilocks was very tired by this time, so she went upstairs to the bedroom. She lay down on the first bed, but it was too hard. Then she lay in the second bed, but it was too soft. Then she lay in the third bed, and it was just right. Goldilocks fell asleep. As she was sleeping, the 3 bears came home. "Someone's been eating my porridge," growled Papa Bear. "Someone's been eating my porridge," said Mama Bear. "Someone's been eating my porridge and they ate it cried Baby Bear. That's an interesting voice that came out. Someone's been sitting in my chair, growled the Papa Bear. Someone's been sitting in my chair, said Mama Bear. Someone's been sitting in my chair and they broke it into pieces, cried the Baby Bear. That is a voice. I don't know where it's coming from. They decided to look around more, and when they got upstairs to the bedroom, Papa Bear growled, Someone's been sleeping in my bed. Someone's been sleeping in my bed too, said Mama Bear. Someone's been sleeping in my bed, and she's still there, exclaimed Baby Bear. Just then, Goldilocks woke up and saw the three bears. She screamed, and she jumped out and she ran out of the room. Goldilocks ran down the stairs, opened the door, and ran away into the forest. And she never returned to the home of the three bears. Okay. So, thank you for dealing with my voices. You know how much I love doing my voices. So, let's do a quick summary of Goldilocks so that we can end the video and get you started on your actual work. Goldilocks summary. Let's include the main points of a summary. So we need the who, the what, the when, and the where. We need our 4 things. Who, what, when, where. We also need to make sure that when we're finished with our details, that we put our summary into beginning, middle, end format. Okay? So our Goldilocks summary. I need to think, who are the main characters in Goldilocks? That's right. It's Goldilocks and the three bears. What's happening? So I'm going to be politically incorrect here and say this dumb girl breaks into a house. This is what she does. She breaks into someone's house and she makes a mess. So notice how in my summary of what's happening, I didn't include that she ate their porridge or that she slept in their bed, that she broke chairs. I'm just saying this dumb girl wandering in the forest breaks into a house and messes it up, right? It's a short story. I don't need to include all the minor details. I just need to get the big idea out. When is this taking place? We don't know the time period, and we don't know when exactly it's taking place, but we do know that it's taking place during the day. That's all we know, and that's okay. And then last but not least, where is it taking place? We don't know the country. We don't know the city. All we know is that it's taking place in a house somewhere in the forest. So those are our details. I need to make sure I include those details in my summary, okay? So when I'm writing my summary, I need to include those things to make sure it's a full and complete summary. When I think back to my summary, and I think back to beginning, middle, end, I need to write it out now. So what is my summary going to look like? What happens in the beginning of the story? I'm thinking back. Well, Goldilocks kind of breaks into the house in the woods. That's what happens at the beginning. So I'm actually going to write that down first. So I'm going to write down Goldilocks breaks into a house in the woods. That's the first thing that happens. So I've included Goldilocks, and I've already included where the story is taking place. So I've got 2 of my 4 details down. The next thing for our BME, beginning, middle, end, is the middle of the story. So I have to think back, what happens in the middle of this story? Well, Goldilocks goes through the bears' things and messes up their house. That's really the big idea. That's like the kind of the meat of what happens. So I'm going to write down, she goes through the bears' things and messes up their house. And then the last thing, the end, BME, beginning, middle, end. The last thing that happens is the bears come home and they're like, bro, why are you here? Why did you wreck our house? So the bears come home to find it a mess, and they see that Goldilocks is sleeping in their beds and kind of chase her out. Thank God. Okay. So I want to double check. I have my format beginning, middle, end, and I also want to check to make sure I include all my details. So I got Goldilocks and the three bears. Who's the story about? What's happening? A girl breaks into the house and makes it a mess. I've included when, during the day, and where, forest in the house. So if I do a Goldilocks summary, it would look something like this. Goldilocks breaks into the house in the woods. She goes through their things and sleeps in their beds. The three bears come home to find it a mess and see Goldilocks sleeping in their beds. So that would be a perfect summary for what we just read. Okay? Now, for class today, for your lesson, what you're going to do is you're going to go into News ELA. I linked it in our announcements. You're going to go into News ELA and you're going to read the article Apollo and Daphne. And Apollo and Daphne is a love story between a Greek god and a Greek mortal. And so your job is going to be to read the story, answer the 4 questions that are multiple choice. That's your classwork assignment grade today. And then your exit ticket grade, the grade that's going to go into the grade book, is the summary question using BME. So you're going to write a summary of what you read with Apollo and Daphne. Sound good? Okay. Thanks for dealing with me with these 15 minutes of cringe.